What's going on, guys? Shitty. And getting a little late. We started the shop. That's the stuff I had to do this morning, but I'm here now. Goal is going to be to knock the rest of this cage out. So I'm just kind of walking around right now and taking a look at it. Yeah, pretty much a bunch of finish welding. Still have to cut and bend a couple more pieces. At that point now where I'm just trying to figure out what's going to make this thing too heavy. I'm trying to lighten this thing up a lot, and I think we did that just by doing our own cage, but I want to overdo it, and sometimes that happens when you're trying to find a balance of looking cool. You know, hey, if I add this piece, it'll really set it off, and what's actually necessary structural wise. So there's a couple of things that I want to add to it, and basically just knock it out. So we'll just take a quick turn around and look here. And that's kind of how she sits right now. So definitely need to add a couple support pieces in here, especially for this rear section. And I kind of want to tie that main hoop over my head into this back part here. And obviously what got us here to begin with was the fact that, you know, the shocks, these bars here, the original ones were bending in, so I'm not really sure I can really do anything in the middle there that's not going to get it too obstructive. I want to leave this hole here and the seat out, so the motor's easy to get to if I need to work on it. And so just kind of got to wing this again. And that's a lot of times when I do cages, I'm just kind of winging it and see what, you know, I don't have a plan. So let's see where this takes us for the rest of the day. I'm beat and my back is killing me. I haven't seen my chiropractor in too long, so time to go get a snap, crackle, and pop soon. I can feel it coming. But let's see where we get to. All right, getting ready to call it a night. So, I like it. I might have got a little overcomplicated, but I kind of dig it. So, you know, again, trying to balance that scale of what's structural, what's pretty. You know, try not to get carried away, make it look like a modern art masterpiece. But I think it's pretty much done. I think I'm gonna leave it alone. Tomorrow, probably need to make some shock mounts, and I have one or two thoughts about maybe adding a bar here or there, but I think this is it. And it's definitely a little different than what I've done before, I think. You know, but I like it. So we'll take a look. So get around here to the back end. So I mean, it was a very productive day. Took a little. I got a late start, so, and then you know, there's some complication with a bunch of bends and notches and angles and stuff like that. So it took me a little while to figure out the whole back section there. I forgot to turn on the camera. When I realized I did, I just left it, just because I knew it was going to take me a while to figure out the notch angles versus, you know, the bends I've got going on. You know, everything's kind of hitting something at a different angle. And I did mess up 2 notches, but I mean, I can fill them in. Not that I necessarily like to do that, but it's mine, so I don't care. I'll fill it in and grind it down. The reason why I went so heavy on the notching, you know, sometimes I'll cheat, but 90% of this cage is basically lighter gauge than I've ever used before, and the reason why was, figured if I was gonna skip putting the bolt on roll cage back on or whatnot, and after lifting up that tail section over here, and the fact that we just got scales, I was gonna make an effort to see how light I can make this thing. Now, obviously, there's a couple bars there that I could have done without, but I just kind of put them there because it was cool, and I thought, okay, maybe it would help. So I went 065. Usually I use 080, 083 or 095. There is the main hoop is 083. 083 is pretty much the size wall that you'll find on your stock Chinese buggy 1 1/4 inch tubing. So the 065 is definitely a lighter gauge. I think with all the tweaks and bends in it, and the more bends I put in it, the more structural it's going to be anyway. That's why I put so many curves. I try not to plant too many times. I try not to plant like have a bar perpendicular to 2 other bars. You know, I try to offset them, hit them at an angle, and that all has to do with, you know, just structural performance. Pretty confident that if I take a roll, and if I do take a roll in this thing on the track, it's going to be a side roll, it's going to be a soft roll, it might bend it, tweak it. Kind of doubtful of even that, but I'm not super concerned. The cage is definitely rated for the 30 plus mile an hour it's going to be going on the motocross track. Even if I went end over end, I'm pretty confident this thing's going to support its own weight. So, that being said, that's why I went so heavy. Just notching actually helps with this, you know, the structural integrity. So I went to try, you know, I pretty much notched every piece of steel that's on here. So I don't know. Let me know what you guys think. That'd be kind of cool. I never asked for comments or opinions, but I think it's got to look all its own, being it's a YERF dog. I don't think there's too many YERF dogs that quite look like this. So, you know, I've had a couple of comments on Facebook, why didn't I carve it down, make it a single-seater? That is coming. This was basically just to save the buggy and keep it in the stable. If anything, it's the first one. Me and this buggy have been together since '09. It's my first GY6 buggy. It's well traveled. This thing's been Tennessee, Georgia, South Carolina, trying to think, at a bunch of different ride parks. Not to mention all the riding I've done around here. Not to mention MBX. I mean, hell, first 2 MBX events we had, this thing was undefeated. So, you know, it's just sentimental. It really took me a lot to do something like this and cut off the stock stuff. So I'm glad I kind of did it now. Don't really care as much as I used to because, you know, I thought about putting a roll cage on a couple times. Yeah, just leave it stock, nostalgia, this, that, the other thing. But at this point, this was pretty much life support, just to keep it going. And it'll be interesting to see if it handles any different or any better now that this is all one big welded cage. So should be interesting. So here's the stuff we pulled off, which we can see he's got huge amounts of damage, bends, tweaks, welds, you know, trying to patch it up. And, you know, it's time to go. Now, whether or not I made this lighter than this heavy thing, I'd like to think so. But when it comes down to it, there's 40 feet of, almost 40 feet of tube. Well, minus that piece right there on the saw. So about 3.5 sticks. I don't know, maybe I'm overdoing it. I know we've got at least 2.5, maybe 3 sticks, maybe a little more. But I mean, I cut the sticks up there in 10-foot sections. They come in 20s and 24s. So I cut them up. I don't really need a piece that long, so 10 foot seems to cover anything I want to do. So I cut it up there and store it up there just to save space in the shop. But when you start bending tube, it's just amazing how quick you go through it. So yeah, safe to say 3.5 sticks. Now I'm thinking about it. So there's literally 35-ish plus feet of roll bar tubing in that thing, not including the 2 rectangular tubes that I put for the where the shocks are going. So, you know, probably why cage work is expensive to do. When you order a cage for, like, you know, some of these cages for razors that people custom make, and they're really nice looking. But I mean, there's a lot of work and a lot of time that goes into it, and I don't put half the thought into it that some of these guys do. I mean, during the video, you could see I just basically take a tape measure and just kind of wing it as I go. There's nothing really. There was a day where I draw stuff out on the ground, and I was able to do that. But now, I don't know, I've just found a way where I can kind of avoid that whole thing. And you know, it's kind of like a musician reading music. Sometimes it's good to know how to do it, because if you need to hit a specific mark, then yeah, it comes in really handy. But the way I build cages, if I'm just building a cage to myself, then I can basically wing it without having to draw everything out and take the exact measurements, and keep waste down to a minimum, which is kind of important. So anyway, hopefully everything is to your liking. I'm tired, and you know how I ramble on when I'm tired, but if you have any comments or questions, leave them in there. Let me know how you like this thing. I'd be interested to know. And by all means, if you haven't so far, subscribe. Hopefully this is your GY6 kind of YouTube channel go-to thing now, and we're gonna be giving away a CVT system and some t-shirts soon, so hang in there for that. Invite your friends, whatever. But anyway, have a good night, guys, and stay safe out there. I know there's every time I try to avoid the news, but every time I catch it, it's just kind of depressing. So it's kind of why I just come down to the shop and get my mind off it by doing this kind of stuff. So anyway, be safe, and you and your families, and till next time, talk to you later.